to know something I don't understand? When women say, he's like the best man in the world and he's my best friend and I've never met a man better than him, but I'm divorcing him. I don't get it. And I'm going to tell you guys towards later in this video the spiritual reasons why I believe this happens. But let's start here and let's start now. It does not, to me, make logical sense on a logical basis. If you're telling me that this is the best man in the world, this man is your best friend and he is the best man you know, that you want to divorce him, right? You're not saying he abuses you. You're not saying, you know, he's taking advantage. You're not saying you're unhappy, right? Because all these women will continue on to be best friends or close with these guys. And honestly, these guys who do that, I don't respect y'all. Okay, I don't respect y'all. I'll be very clear and honest with that. Because why are you still talking to somebody who didn't value enough to keep you as their husband and you still want to be their best friend? I don't get it, right? But before I get into this, guys, don't forget to hit that subscribe if you're feeling the vibe and you want to join the tribe. Let me know your thoughts, whether you agree or disagree in the comments, guys. I'm literally happy to hear everybody's perspective. I always say this. I don't think you guys believe me because of popular culture. I get it. And like the video if you do like the video. So this all sparked off because I was watching one content creator that I like. She makes very sarcastic content on YouTube and I kind of love it because she kind of takes, you know, she kind of makes fun of people in general online and influencers and stuff. And I love it, you know what I mean? I love people that do stuff like that because I think it's just funny to laugh about it, right? Anyway, she did this video and she was basically explaining how, you know, she just went through a divorce that she started with a man who was her best friend, who's the best man she knows, but she's divorcing him. And it just sent me off and I was like, I have to make a video about this because I've heard this time and time again. I've heard women say they're divorcing somebody who's the best man they know, a best friend of theirs. He does everything for them, blah, 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 but they're divorcing him. Sorry, how does that make sense? And I honestly think, in the words of Abba from Abba and Preach, it is a sickness. It is a sickness, guys. Why? To me, right? If I met the guy who is like literally my best friend, literally is the best man I've ever met, why am I doing anything other than staying with him? And if there's any issues, why am I doing anything other than working through those issues with him? If that is my truest belief. So there's two options. Let's start with option one. There's two options here. Option one is that I'm being delusional and that's not true. Option two is I'm just an idiot, right? And there's other reasons why I'm continuing my idiocy. Let's talk about option one, right? It's not true. I'm delusional and it's not true. In that case, that's not helpful to anybody and to yourself, because if that's what you think about somebody and you're prepared to divorce them as a woman, which again, most divorces are initiated by women. Us ladies like to feel all this patriarchy, misogyny, da da da. I always use those words because that's what I hear a lot from like super high level feminists and stuff. We like to talk about this type of stuff, but we don't talk about how much we are the ones who do a lot of things that are actually the ones, we are actually a lot of the time the ones going against men in certain senses. And I think divorce is one of them, because I think, for me, I've made a whole video about it, so I won't talk about it at length right now. Marriage is a very serious promise, and it's not something, and it's not a promise you should break. And I think if you're the person who's going to easily walk away from a marriage, I don't respect it. I ain't got no respect for you. I'm so sorry, because that is a serious commitment. If you were not prepared to be in that commitment, don't get married. Okay, things are going to happen. It's one of the most difficult things ever in life, is being married, next to being a parent, right? Then don't do it. If you ain't got it, don't do it. If you're not prepared to fight for this person. And I remember one of my an old friend of mine said this to me. She got engaged, she's now married, so happy for her and her husband. He's a really good man for her. They're good for each other, and I love those guys together. And I remember her telling me, when we were talking about them being married, she was saying to me how he told her that it's not that he can guarantee he's going to absolutely be obsessed with her every day, but he's going to wake up every day and choose to love her and be committed. That's his promise in marriage, and that's what I believe the promise in marriage is. So that's why when people try get divorced for dumbness, I'm just like, what the hell? Like, if you're like, oh, you're divorced, oh, why? Because I'm earning more than him. One of the most successful marriages that I know of, guys, in real life, is between a man and a woman who, when they started out together, they didn't really have much. They didn't have much. They were kind of broke, and they were both working, right? Over time, he tried multiple businesses. Many of them failed, right? And she was working, he was working, but she stuck by him. They worked through it and they stuck to their commitment, right? Eventually, he now hits a business, big business, and he starts to make business with big people in the world. Like some of the most top A-list celebrities and everything, right, are consumers of his business. I'm keeping this all obviously vague because I don't want to expose people's business. It's more about the story itself, right? Now they're in a position where, as adult humans, as like a man and woman who I think are in their 50s and 60s, I'm not sure, 50s. Anyway, he is making bank. She doesn't work anymore. She doesn't have to work. She just gets to focus on looking after everyone. They've got 3 children together. They're all adults. And, you know, they have a home, and the setup in their home is that, you know, the children are always benefiting off of the father. I'm pretty sure he paid for all of his children to do their driving lessons. He paid for the insurance. He pays money for them to support whatever they're doing. They're all doing very different things in life, right? And so he's winning, and you can tell that he has that sense of pride that a lot of men do when they finally get to that point in life of like, well, I handle all the bills, I handle all the money, I buy my family expensive stuff, and I can do it and whatever. And I'm happy for him, honestly. And I'm happy for both of them. They stuck by each other, they worked through the hard times, and now she's thriving, he's thriving. She doesn't have to work anymore. She went down to, like, at some point she was working a couple of days a week, and now she doesn't work at all, like I said. And they can afford to do it. Not only that, but their adult children financially benefit from their parents on a constant basis. And that to me is the goal of as a parent. Is not that you continue to try, when your children become adults, this nonsense of like, oh, now you're an adult, blah, blah, blah. Like, yes, now you're an adult, you have to look after yourself, but also your parent is still your parent, you know what I'm saying? And that's why I believe God calls us his children. Even though we're adults, we're still the children of God. Even when I die, hopefully after 100 years old, I will still be a child of God, right? Why? Because he's always looking after me and providing, protecting for me, helping me in whatever season I'm in. That's what I believe in parenting, right? So they're doing that. They're doing life well, and they're thriving, and they've got good money. They're not worried about where the next meal, where it is coming from. They're doing way better than most people, right? They're living an above average, far above average life, right? That's all because they stuck to their marriage. And that's why I think if it's the first option, you sound stupid, right? First of all, because marriage is difficult. Second of all, right, let's go to the second option. The second option is you are in a situation where, what was even my second option? I can't remember. So the first option was that, what was my first option? My first option was that you're delusional. Oh yeah, and my second option was that, I can't remember. But anyways, I'm going to continue with what I was going to say. So if you're in a situation now where you're with a dude, right, and I do believe a lot of women do this, and this is why I speak about this stuff a lot, because I think a lot of women, us as ladies, we're wired differently to men, okay? The fact that men approach women means that usually men go to women they feel attracted to, and I believe God uses that to attract men to the woman or the women who are for them, if that makes sense. In the sense that you might just see a woman one day. I've heard many guys say that I just saw this woman, I met her the first time and I knew that she was my wife. That to me is exactly what happened with Adam and Eve, right? God made Adam first, then a bunch of things happened, including telling him not to eat from the tree before Eve was created. That's important for other videos that I've made, so that's why I'm mentioning it now. Then he created Eve, but God didn't tell Adam, Eve is your wife. Adam acknowledged Eve as his wife, and when he saw his, oh my gosh, that's my wife. And he was actually the one who gave Eve her name as well. He also named all the animals as well, right? So I think that's normal, right? As ladies, we have this tendency where we, you know, when it comes to dating, for lots of different things. Part of it is because of Disney selling us this dream about Prince Charming and blah, blah, blah. I say Disney, but I mean the entertainment industry as a whole. The other part is just things that other women say to us. We tend to choose guys based on the fact that this person is the right decision right now, as opposed to this is the right person for the decision in the long haul, right? And I think that's the problem, because when you're entering into marriage from that standpoint, you are now entering into marriage not because this is your life partner, not because there's a purpose in you guys being married, because I believe marriage comes with purpose. I believe God created marriage with purpose involved, as in you two together, there is a purpose. For another friend of mine, funnily enough, who's also married, happily married, she said this to me, and it's really stuck with me forever, because I believe it as well. As much as she said it, she said that she believes that when it comes to marriage, there comes a certain point in your life where you will not progress until you are with the person that God intended for you to marry in the way that you're supposed to progress with this person, right? So obviously marriage is a whole nother different thing to deal with, right? And so when I hear these ladies saying, oh, he's my best friend, he's a great man, he's the best man I've ever known, but I'm divorcing him, that's when I realize that we as ladies have a problem. Because I think a lot of these ladies are divorcing their actual true God-given husband because of whatever, because of societal whatever, because of, and I'm going to go take it a step further. I said I would get to the spiritual stuff, so I'm going to talk about it now. Spiritually, I believe that, I believe in this thing called a spirit husband and a spirit wife, which sounds kind of extreme, but guys, roll with me here and just hear me out. Even if you disagree, I'd rather you hear me out and tell me. It'd be better for everybody, including myself, if you just say what you actually think as opposed to assume that I'm a Looney Tune, right? So hear me out. So I believe there's a thing called a spirit wife and a spirit husband. Now, when you have a spirit wife or a spirit husband, I'll tell you guys a sign that there might be a spirit wife or a spirit husband operating in your life. When it comes to you, a lot of times they present themselves in your dreams. You're having sex with somebody else. You start to think about your ex, whatever, right? And I had a video that I watched today. It was a YouTube short, and this guy was talking about how more than half of the divorces in the United States at the moment are a result of women, are a result of social media, right? And somebody reaching out to their ex because they all of a sudden decide they want to be with them. This is where we have to talk about becoming a slave to this. Why we are slaves before Jesus, because Jesus is the one who the son sets free is free indeed. That scripture is from John, which I also saw a thing that reminded me about that today. Anyway, when you have a spirit husband or a spirit wife, they want to, one of their main goals is they want to achieve whatever they want to achieve through you, but they also don't want you to have what God has for you, because then you're going to build that relationship with somebody else, right? The relationship they're trying to have with you, you're going to build with somebody else. The intimacy that they want to have with you, they're going to build it with somebody else. You know why? Because the person who's the wrong person, it causes you to be with, well, I'll use the term often used by new age people, which is a twin flame, right? And this is whole twin flame versus soulmate type of thing. And I do believe in soulmates, guys. I do believe that God, I don't believe that God is just out here waiting for you to just casually meet. I used to, I'm not gonna lie, that you could just meet whoever and whatever. I actually believe that God has an intention for who you're going to marry. I also believe that you could marry one person, divorce, and then marry the next person, and the person you married second or third or whatever, there was a purpose in all of it. And I still 100% believe every single child, any single person that is born, God intended to be here for a purpose, for a reason. And I'm also saying this as somebody whose parents divorced a year ago this month, right? January 2023. And so, and I've got 3 siblings, so there's all 3 of us are here. So obviously God wanted for us to be here, right? Whether that divorce is supposed to happen or not, who knows? I don't know. I can't tell you. But anyway, what I will say is that when it comes to twin flames, when it comes to twin flames, when it comes to soulmates, when it comes to spirit husbands, right? Spirit husbands, twin flames, same thing. Spirit wives and husbands, same thing. Soulmates, different scenario. When it comes to that type of stuff, I do believe that the kingdom of darkness will keep you away on purpose from the person who God has intended for you to be with, for reasons that don't make sense. And that's why I think a lot of these women, they'll become single and they'll be like, oh, this is my best friend, this is the best, like, and I mentioned best friend because I think married couples are supposed to be not just best friends but lovers, because you can love somebody or whatever. How many people in the world have people that they love dearly but they don't like, right? And I think you being a best friend with your spouse is what's going to hold you through the hard times. And I've had many successful married people, and I have people who've been married for decades and stuff, say that this person is my best friend, right? When you then are dealing with the spiritual elements of being stopped from being with the person that God intended for you to be, then that's where I think the spirit spouse and spirit spouse comes into it, right? The spirit husband, the spirit wife, because they're going to want you to be the wrong person. Because the kingdom of darkness, like I said, the Bible says, literally, not like what I say, forget what I say, what the Bible says is that the enemy comes to kill, steal, and destroy, and Jesus came to give us life and life abundantly. I've said this before. So when you are dealing with a person who is not who God intended for you to be, your spirit husband or wife is happy, because this is a toxic relationship. You're going to keep engaging in it, probably because you're having sexual interaction with this individual from the wrong kingdom. And so that's why it works for them. when you're doing it for what God intended and you got like the green light from God, like, yep, this is your person, this is who you want to be with, the kingdom of darkness is going to try and threaten that scenario. And that's why I think a lot of us as ladies are going wrong, because a lot of us, whether we know it or not, entertain these types of things. And I've had to deal with this in many different levels in my own life, right? This concept of the spirit spouse and how they will purposefully, you know, make you engage with the wrong person, bring that wrong person into your life. Why? You got to ask yourself. It brings destruction. And then a lot of women, think about this, a lot of women end up alone and single at 40, 50, 60, 70, whatever year, whatever age it is, right? They end up single, right? And those men end up remarrying, right? They find somebody else, they do whatever. And I was like, oh, you know, if I could go back, you look like an idiot now. And that's why, guys, I'm trying to be preventative here. I'm not trying to judge people. I'm not trying to upset women. I'm not trying to, you know, be out here trying to say that, oh, you don't get to be happy. I'm not saying that. Some people who've gotten divorced, good for you. It might have been the right thing, right? But most women are engaging in divorce, and a lot of women who get divorced say, oh, he was a great man. He was my best friend. He was this. He was amazing. Other than I earned more than him. Other than his ex DM'd him on Facebook saying she's still interested in him. It doesn't really make sense. If you're saying there's no man better than him that you know of and you've never known, first of all, this is the other trap of it all, right? Here's the real trap. I'm gonna leave it with this. So now you have this bar set so high because you've been with the guy you're supposed to be with, and then you leave him for whatever reason. The spirit spouse has gotten that to happen, right? And it happens on both ends, right? Men and women. So now no man will ever match up to that because that was the man you were supposed to be with anyway. And then that's how you end up alone. That's how you end up waiting all these years. Like, oh, well, I want to, I don't know. As a woman of the Lord, I just look at this type of stuff and I think, if you're really saying, I get when women say like, oh, I had to, you know, do what was right for myself and this, that, and the other. As far as this person wasn't good for me, this person didn't love me truly, this person didn't understand my purpose and all that, which we're going to talk about purpose as well today in a video that's coming out hopefully today. But also, so that is one thing that does happen, right? That is okay and understandable. But I'm also looking at it from the other perspective of, but if this is the best man you know, this is your best friend, how's anybody ever going to outdo that? For real, seriously, if you set the bar that high. And how often is it that we really meet people who meet those types of requirements as men and women? Because I really believe compatibility and stuff is so much more part of relationships than people realize. And a big part of compatibility is the ability to be friends and lovers. And that's the other portion of it. And so that's all I got to say anyways, guys, about all of that. It's just something I was thinking about today, because after watching this video that I saw and this woman getting a divorce, and she was like, oh, my divorce was so difficult, like walking away from him, but we're still best friends, we're still this. And I was just like, are you sure you needed to divorce him? Are you sure there wasn't maybe something else going on, either in your own self? Because you know what's funny? Somebody was saying this about how healthy relationships are often boring versus toxic relationships. And sometimes the boringness, when I say boring, it means in somebody treats you well when it's comfortable, when it's good. Sometimes if you've been through the negative, you can be more wanting of the positive purely because you think that's what it's supposed to be. Do you get what I'm saying? Anyways, just something to think about, you know what I'm saying? And to understand that as ladies, as women, as men and women, right? Sometimes we can be in the position where you're with the right person. Maybe you just need to go back to the drawing board. Maybe you are the problem as well. That's not talked about enough. Now that it's all about feminism and the misogyny and the patriarchy and whatever, I think men's needs are going complete in a lot of senses. I do think a lot of women's needs. This is why I mentioned the whole thing about ladies choosing guys who they think on paper are right. I think that's why a lot of women don't want to have sex in marriage. I think sex is a part of something that God created, because God created sex, if you guys didn't realize. He created it so that it would always increase the intimacy between a man and a woman. And that's why if I'm married, people will say, I love her more and more each day. I love him more and more each day. Why? Because they're with the right person. They're engaging they're in a sacrificial, not self-serving, but sacrificial love situation. And it's causing for them to love this person more and more every day. Do you get what I'm saying? And that's why I'm very much somebody who prays against the concept of spirit spouses. Like, I always reject, rebuke, come out of any covenant with any spirit spouse I could have in the name of Jesus, because I'm like, I don't want to get caught up that, you know, whoever God has for me comes along or comes into my life and then I turn him down. Why? Because I do you know what I mean? For something stupid. And there are a lot of divorces that are happening are really stupid. And it irritates me, especially because I believe in marriage and I believe that, you know, the kingdom of darkness is trying to the kingdom of darkness is always coming against the things of God, right? If it's a thing of God, the kingdom of darkness is not happy. If it's a thing that's not of God, the kingdom of darkness will let you live in that comfortably. If you're the wrong person, you'll find way more reasons to stick it out than if you're the right person. And that's a natural thing. And when you meet somebody who's actually for you, why would you give that up? For what? And like, what is the end goal here? So I'm interested to see how a lot of these situations are going to turn out in the long haul for a lot of these ladies, especially the ones getting divorced as older women. Like, how is this actually going to work out for you genuinely, especially now that you're not as able to have children, for example? As we get older as ladies, you're not as able to do a lot of things. I don't know. You guys let me know your thoughts in the comment section down below, whether you agree or disagree. I'd love to hear you guys' thoughts. If you enjoyed this video, if you're feeling the vibe and you want to join the tribe, hit that subscribe button. And of course, don't forget to like the video if you did. If life's a game, let's play to win. God bless every single one of you. I'll see you in my next one. Goodbye.